The city was built on glass and steel, towers that touched the clouds and cast shadows on the broken lives below, and Amelia Carter once ruled over all of it. People called her untouchable. The newspapers wrote about her brilliance. Her face appeared on magazines with headlines declaring her the Iron Queen of business. Her name commanded respect, fear, and envy. She was the kind of woman who walked into a boardroom and every man in a suit fell silent. She owned jets, islands, penthouses, everything people kill themselves to achieve. And yet on a dark Tuesday night, she was on her knees in her glass office, sobbing like a beggar who had just been robbed. The empire she had built had crumbled, not from strangers but from those closest to her. Partners she trusted betrayed her. Friends who toasted champagne with her in golden halls had stabbed her in the back with contracts and lies. Investors had abandoned her. Reporters tore her reputation apart like wolves circling a carcass. The collapse came like a storm, sudden, violent, and merciless. 15 years of blood and sacrifice gone in 15 days. Her trembling hands clutched at the papers scattered on the floor. Bankruptcy notices, lawsuits, letters from lawyers reminding her of deadlines. Her empire was ashes. The board had forced her out. Security had escorted her from the very building she built, and now she sat in silence, mascara running down her face, muttering the words like a curse, "I lost everything, I lost everything." Her phone lit up in the dark, messages flooding in, not from friends offering comfort but from banks demanding payment and vultures circling her weakness. She smashed the phone against the glass wall, her scream echoing through the empty office until her voice cracked. The mighty queen was nothing now. The city did not care. The empire did not mourn. And in that silence, when her chest ached with betrayal and loneliness, she remembered him. A name whispered itself from the depths of her breaking soul. David. Years ago, before the skyscrapers and power, before her name was carved into the skyline, she had been just a girl with ambition. She lived in a cheap apartment with second-hand clothes, chasing dreams no one believed in. Except him. David, the mechanic with oil-stained hands, the man who worked 12 hours fixing engines but still made her feel like she was the most precious thing in the world. He was poor but rich in love. He had given her his loyalty, his heart, his time. But when the first investors came, when the glow of ambition blinded her, she left him behind. She told herself she needed to focus on success, that love could wait, that he didn't fit into the world she wanted to build. And he never chased her. He let her go with quiet dignity, like a man who knew the world would change her. Now, when the world had spit her out and left her broken, his face rose in her memory. She whispered his name again through her tears. David. The next morning, she walked out of the tower for the last time, carrying nothing but the weight of her disgrace. The streets that once seemed to bow to her presence now treated her like she was invisible. Strangers pushed past. No one cared that she was Amelia Carter, the woman who once owned half the city. She was just another fallen figure, and the city loved to see a queen crawl. Her legs carried her without thought, guided only by memory. Hours later, she stood in front of a small garage at the edge of the city. The paint was peeling, a single flickering bulb buzzed above the door, and the air smelled of gasoline and dust. And there he was, bent over an engine, his hands black with grease, his hair peppered with gray now. His shoulders broad but worn from years of labor. He hadn't noticed her yet. Her chest tightened. She wanted to run, to disappear before he could see what she had become. But her tears betrayed her. A sob escaped her throat, raw and broken. David turned slowly, wiping his hands on a rag, and when his eyes met hers, the air froze. He didn't speak her name. He didn't rush toward her. He simply looked, his gaze heavy and unreadable, as if weighing the years between them. Amelia collapsed against the doorway, her voice shaking, her body trembling with humiliation. "I lost everything, David. Everything. It's gone. The company, the money, the respect, all of it. I have nothing left, nothing." She broke down, the words spilling out like blood from an open wound. David walked toward her, each step deliberate. When he finally stood in front of her, his voice was calm, steady, like steel forged in fire. He said only 5 words. "You still have her." Amelia froze, confusion and pain in her eyes. "Her? Who? I told you, I have no one. I lost everyone." His hand touched his chest, then hovered near her heart. His eyes locked onto hers with unshakable intensity. "Her. The woman I fell in love with. The woman who was never the skyscrapers, never the champagne, never the empire. The woman beneath all that. She's still here. You lost the world, Amelia. But you didn't lose her." The words cut deeper than any betrayal. They stripped away the layers of pride, ambition, and failure, leaving only the raw, naked truth of who she was. Her lips trembled, her knees gave out, and she collapsed into his arms, sobbing harder than she had ever sobbed in her life. For the first time in 15 years, she was not a CEO, not a queen, not a failure. She was just Amelia, the woman he had loved all along. But the world was not done with her. Her enemies, the ones who had betrayed her, were celebrating. Newspapers painted her as a villain, the board declared her reckless, and whispers of prison circled the air. They wanted her destroyed completely. They wanted her name erased. They thought she would stay on the ground. Days passed in David's small garage, where the smell of grease replaced the scent of boardrooms. She helped him with small tasks, swept the floor, made coffee, laughed for the first time in years at his sarcastic jokes. But every night, when she closed her eyes, the betrayal returned like knives in her chest. She remembered their faces, partners who had signed her ruin, friends who had smiled while stabbing her back. Rage boiled in her veins, burning hotter than her grief. One evening, she told David, "They think I'm finished. They think they broke me. But I will make them pay." Her voice shook with fury. David looked at her with steady eyes. "Then do it, but this time, not for them. Not for power. For her. For the woman you lost along the way." His words lit a fire inside her. Amelia realized she had been destroyed because she had let greed and ambition blind her. She had trusted snakes and abandoned herself. Now, she had nothing to lose, and that made her dangerous. She started small. She dug through her old contacts, not the powerful ones but the loyal ones, the people she had ignored in her climb to the top. She found the janitor who had once told her she inspired him, the secretary she had helped years ago, the small investors who still believed in her dream. She built again, not in skyscrapers but in backrooms and garages. Her enemies laughed when they heard she was trying again. They mocked her in interviews. But the more they mocked, the harder she fought. Every night she returned to David, her body aching, her soul scarred, and every night he reminded her, "You still have her." Those words became her armor. Those words rebuilt her. Months later, the same newspapers that buried her name began whispering about her return. The same enemies who betrayed her began to sweat when they saw her rise from the ashes. They had money, yes, but she had something stronger: truth, fire, and the heart of the woman David reminded her she still was. The final blow came when Amelia walked into the same boardroom that had once thrown her out. Her enemies sat there, smug and unprepared. She dropped the files on the table, proof of their crimes, their fraud, their betrayal. Their faces drained of color. The Iron Queen had returned, not with greed this time, but with vengeance sharpened by love. "You thought I lost everything," she said, her voice cold as steel. "But I still had her. And she doesn't forgive." That day, she walked out of the tower not as the same CEO she once was, but as a woman reborn. And waiting outside, leaning against his car, grease still on his hands, was David. He didn't need to say anything. He didn't need to. She walked straight into his arms, and for the first time in her life, Amelia Carter felt whole. She had lost everything, but she still had her. And in his arms, she finally understood, that was everything she had ever truly needed.